What is up, guys, and welcome to the Casual Wrestling Podcast. I am your host of the show, the Notorious Nerdy D, alongside of my amazing podcasting and life partner, the one, the only Level Up Lauren.
What's up, y'all?
Each and every week, me and Lauren will discuss 4 topics in pro wrestling for your listening enjoyment. Every episode can be found for your viewing pleasure on youtube.com. And if you don't feel like staring at our beautiful faces, you can listen on all major podcast networks. The 4 topics will then be broken down and posted Monday through Thursday as separate episodes, and then with a complete episode posting on Friday. Quick shout out to this week's Patreon producers: Jay by Proxy, Muscle Fiend 53, Randall Beatley, the OG Ian the Noobs Newberry, and OG It's Zinny. Lauren, let's jump straight into topic number 1 for this week. The first question that I have for you this week is, what do you think of the WrestleMania card that we have been told is happening so far? Now, I have the matches here. We can go through one by one and talk about each one. I'm not expecting you to just jump in and guess right off the bat.
Yeah.
But as of right now, the belief is that the WrestleMania card looks something like John Cena versus Austin Theory.
Okay.
Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes for the Universal Championship. Sami Zayne and Kevin Owens versus the Usos. Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. Edge versus Finn Balor. Sheamus versus Gunther versus Drew McIntyre for the Intercontinental title. Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley. Lashley versus Lesnar. And there's a belief that we're going to get Dominic Mysterio versus Rey Mysterio.
Ooh.
That's so far. I mean, that's when I went to look this up, that was more than I expected to find kind of already in place.
That's more than I found because I wasn't even aware of some of those. But
and a lot of these are just rumors and speculation. They're long shots, but the belief is that this is kind of the way the card is rounding out. To me, if you compare that to last year's card, this looks like it's shaping up to be a pretty good WrestleMania. We have the disappointment of not having The Rock, which was what everybody was expecting. At first, it sounded like they were whiffing on all of the big 3: Cena, Stone Cold, and The Rock. It now is believed that Cena is going to be able to work out a short match of some sorts with Austin Theory. So that, it's funny how that's kind of going full circle. There was the thought that we were going to get John Cena versus Logan Paul, and now it's kind of reverted back to the tease that we always thought we were getting, which was John Cena versus Austin Theory.
Yes, sir.
And so I like that. So if you look at this compared to last year's card featured, its big main event was Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. It was the most stupendous main event of all time. And I think it worked. The night one was Stone Cold and Kevin Owens, which I think worked.
It was awesome.
But I don't think when you write it down on paper, match for match, I don't know that the last year's WrestleMania on paper was kind of more exciting to me than this year's. Last year we had Roman versus Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
We watched that at home. We went to night 1. You had Edge versus AJ Styles, where AJ Styles hit his head on the way out and was bleeding before he even got to the ring. That, to me, in retrospect, I don't look back at that match, and it was a solid match, but I don't look back at that match and just have like a huge fond memory.
I mean, my most memorable moment from last year was when Cody Rhodes came out. And
exactly
the can crushing of Stone Cold and the Kevin Owens thing, that was like the 2 most memorable things to me.
Last year we got Queen Zelina with Carmella back when they were a tag team versus Naomi and Sasha Banks versus Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan versus Natalya and Shayna Baszler. And that was a match that happened with like literally no setup. It was like, hey, we need another match on this card.
I was gonna say, I don't even really remember that, to be honest.
and the idea was that they were going to build the tag team titles into something prestigious. I don't think they've done a good job in that, and just leaving the belts on Damage Control up until this point. Yeah. I still think, and I still believe, and hopefully, I think I saw on Twitter, there was a little bit of dissension, it looked like, between Bayley and Io Sky.
Ooh.
Might have been a little bit of bickering going on Twitter.
Oh, no.
So I'm still of the belief, I think the best opportunity for a tag team match for the women's championships at WrestleMania would be for Bayley to turn back to babyface, join up with Becky Lynch, and do Becky and Bailey versus Ronda and Shayna, because it's the makings of the 4 horsewomen on each side.
Yeah.
I think that works. We also got last year Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory, which was a big deal.
Yes. That was good.
That holds a place in my mind. And I think that in this year's Logan Paul and Seth Rollins can kind of fill that like unexpectedly good match. Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins.
I'm actually really excited about that.
That could be extremely interesting.
Because they're both very good like characters, and they invoke like feelings out of you, if that makes any sense.
And it's rumored that it's going to be a heel Logan Paul versus a babyface Seth Rollins, which is very interesting. Yeah. I think a heel Logan Paul will actually work if he starts to turn the crowd against him and use that to his advantage. Last year we had Sami Zayne versus Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah.
That was good.
It was fun.
I don't know how. I don't even know that you attempt to one up that one. I think that was kind of its own thing. The Jackass match with all the Jackass characters.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what celebrity you could bring in this year that gets the same kind of like Johnny Knoxville attention. We had RK Bro versus the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy. Mm-hmm. I remember that being a pretty good match. I think that's where Gable Steveson or whatever, wasn't he there and he jumped over the ropes or something, or the ramp, or it was something like that.
Was that the guy who had on
the crocheted sweater?
The crochet sweater polo.
The crocheted sweater polo.
That's all I remember about him. But yes.
And we got Bobby Lashley and Omos last year. That was all on night 2. Night 1, we got Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens, Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey, which, if you remember, ended up being kind of a weirdly, I thought, bad match for WrestleMania. That was followed up at WrestleMania Backlash with the match that they should have had at WrestleMania.
Yes.
You talked about this, Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. Mm-hmm. That was a solid match. I think that was possibly the best match of WrestleMania. That the Kevin Owens
wrestling.
Yeah, the Kevin Owens and Stone Cold may have been the most exciting thing. We got the Miz and Logan Paul versus the Mysterios last year.
I did forget about that. I forgot about so much.
Then we got Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin, where Drew McIntyre cut the ropes.
That was amazing. It was really amazing. I just remember it was like nonstop fun. So, and
then we got the Usos and versus Shinsuke and Rick Boogs.
And then he hurt his leg,
where he busted up his leg. So that's a hard. I mean, look, when you look back, there's a lot of good memories there. So, Cena in theory, I think that has the potential to be very good because it's kind of been teased for so long that I think there is an interest in that. And it was always kind of billed as like Vince McMahon's new little, baby boy versus Vince McMahon's old baby boy in John Cena. So I think that if they sell that match correctly, it could be extremely big at WrestleMania. I think, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, everybody's of the belief that Cody Rhodes goes over in that match. But if Roman Reigns comes and goes through WrestleMania and continues to be the champion.
Ooh, I mean, I'm expecting Cody to win, honestly. Like, that's what I expect. But I could see them fucking with us. You
talk about the lore, though, of like Roman Reigns. If the big expectation is that Cody is like the savior to come in and take the belt, but what if Roman just plows through that? What if they decide somehow to split it into 2 title matches and somehow Roman walks out of WrestleMania with at least 1 title? I mean, I really don't see the purpose at this point. I think it's more beneficial at WrestleMania 39 to split those titles up and have Cody Rhodes take a world title back to Monday Night Raw and leave Roman Reigns intact with one of the titles moving forward and continue the story of the bloodline. Countdown. Yeah. I mean, look, if The Rock is really teasing WrestleMania 40, why not go one more year with Roman Reigns as the champion on SmackDown? What does it really hurt? He's entertaining. SmackDown has definitely been the better show, even though it hasn't had the world title change.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy SmackDown more than Raw.
You got Sami and KO versus the Usos. I'm interested to see how we get there with the Jey Uso thing, and maybe they repair their relationship when they defend their tag titles this week. But I like this. The whole setup for this will work. I think that it is I think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, I said it for a long time, they can take the tag team titles off of the Usos and kind of continue the momentum moving forward. There will be a lot of people who get behind them. So that match it has no problems. And all 4 of those guys are extremely good workers. We talked about Rollins and Logan Paul. Edge and Finn Balor, that's kind of the culmination. This is, to me, what Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair was last year.
Yes.
Remember, we had that, Becky and Bianca went at it for a long time. There was a lot of storytelling in that little feud. I think that's kind of what the Judgment Day versus Edge kind of comes to fruition at WrestleMania 39. The question becomes, is that Edge's, farewell match?
Ooh,
is there a chance
did not
that
think about that. I mean,
Finn
he's
Balor,
getting up there, right?
Well, and he said this is the year he wants to retire.
Oh.
So he came out and said that. So could Finn Balor, kind of take the torch away from Edge and send him out to the pastures?
Ooh.
It feels like.
What if he wins and then he's like, I'm done?
Yeah, it typically doesn't happen that way in wrestling.
I feel like I want that to happen.
A lot of guys lose their final match because they're kind of passing the torch to the next guy.
Okay.
A lot of times that, I guess it could happen, but a lot of times that does happen. So Finn Balor could be the Demon would work. The Demon Finn Balor versus like an edgier Edge. I think Sheamus, Gunther, and Drew McIntyre will be complete chaos, and I'm there for every minute of that. It will be awesome. I think Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley has potential to be good. I think that Rhea Ripley, it's a big moment for her, a big opportunity for her to kind of, announce herself to the wrestling world as a real deal if she takes the title off of Charlotte.
I am excited about that one. I would have liked for it to have been Rhea versus Bianca.
So, and I had this conversation, I agree, but I think there's time.
Okay.
So what about, WrestleMania 40 could be Bianca versus Rhea Ripley.
True.
Like they both have enough time left in their career that can happen. Whereas, I'm not saying Charlotte's older, but Charlotte's farther along that, like the way everything's just kind of lined up, this seems like it makes sense. It seems like a little bit of a passing of a torch that Charlotte could do towards Rhea to kind of give her a boost.
Yeah.
Which then I
guess that makes sense.
When you do go, you talk about Bianca beating Becky and kind of taking that torch. And then you talk about Charlotte losing to Rhea and Rhea kind of taking that torch. It kind of lines it, like save something for next year.
Is that why in this situation, like Charlotte is beginning to be the like baby face because Rhea is the heel? I think that's why. So I think, yes, I think the reason that Charlotte came back as babyface was because when they were making the roadmap forward, they knew it wasn't going to work heel versus heel. And I think it's a little bit of a challenge for Charlotte to work babyface, but I think she's doing a good job. I think she's doing amazing.
And Rhea is kind of the likable heel. I think a lot of people like Rhea Ripley in the bad guy position.
Oh,
so
I do.
It will I think it's going to be one of those matches where you get the split down the middle from the crowd.
Yeah.
You get the Rhea Ripley chance and the Charlotte Flair.
We'll see what happens.
And then last, as much as I've talked about Dominic Mysterio, for everything we've had to endure, I want to see Dominic versus Rey Mysterio.
Me too.
I don't care about the NASCAR shit, but I just think for the last year, we've gotten this kind of build up towards the animosity between the two. And I think it would be fun. I don't know if Rey Mysterio is retiring, but like a passing of the torch or even something that like leads Dom to leaving the Judgment Day in that match would make sense and kind of creating his solo career. I will say Dominic has been better because they've put him in protected situations where he can be funny. And when Dominic is funny, he is much more likable than when Dominic is trying to be real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so in this kind of comical, which I do think that he can take that comical and start to roll it into a little bit more of like we take him more seriously. So I agree. I want to see that match. There were other rumored matches that are on the card that talking about possibly Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler versus Damage Control. But I told you, I'd rather that be Becky and Bayley versus Damage Control.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
But I think so far the bill. Oh, and there's also, I saw rumors, a lot of people talking about if Randy Orton could get healthy, that WrestleMania is the time to do Riddle versus Orton. I don't think so. I don't think you need that on this card.
Story yet either.
I think that you let Randy come back, and that feels more like a SummerSlam kind of main event to me, rather than doing that at an actual WrestleMania.
Agreed.
All right, topic number 2. Lauren, so I saw an article that was saying that WWE is looking into doing a lot more of the sponsored segments with like, you know, they did the pitch black with Mountain Dew. They did the NASCAR kind of crossover. My question to you was, do you think that these sponsored matches and sponsored segments hurt or help professional wrestling?
So short answer, hurt. My reason why is because it feels ungenuine, right? Like it takes away the whole experience of wrestling. Like you and I both know it's not, I mean, it is real. Like they're really performing stuff, but like there's a story and it's already been predetermined who wins and stuff like that. We don't know it. They know it, but it takes me out of that element and out of that world. And it just feels like cringy,
so,
you know?
Yes. So my answer is no, I don't think it hurts professional wrestling. I think right now the way they're doing it hurts professional wrestling. I don't think that you can just take Mountain Dew and insert it into your main storyline and that
put
works.
it in the fucking middle of the ring. Like,
so that's exactly right. That's where I'm
cringy.
Going. It's okay. Why couldn't Mountain Dew just sponsor the entire event?
I agreed.
And I get the idea of going to the pitch, but the pitch black match was hokey. It was cool. To me, the pitch black match really works with someone like Liv Morgan.
Ooh, that would have been
who's not involved in a heavy storyline, but tends to wear some cool colors and could do. It felt like to me a pitch black match would have looked really cool with Liv Morgan and somebody else.
Asuka,
perfect.
And she
right?
had like neon
and do neons and do all those things. So I don't think that the actual act of just having featured like sponsored segments is a problem. I think it's where you choose to place those segments. I think placing it in Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio automatically makes that feel extremely fucking goofy, that they're fighting at a NASCAR event.
Yeah.
And like racing each other in cars. We're supposed to, like, the whole build for this story is supposed to be the like disrespect of Dominic Mysterio towards Rey Mysterio. And then we start to get this weird hokey NASCAR where they're like teaming up with NASCAR drivers. And I understand the crossover appeal to Fox and to everybody, but I think there's a little bit of that plays with the intelligence of like professional wrestling audiences that I don't necessarily love that.
I guess when you put it like that, because I guess there's the flow match every week, right? And that doesn't bother me. Or the flow, what is it? The flow report,
the recap or whatever. Yeah.
No, it doesn't even like click to me like, oh, this is a sponsorship. I just know that that's what's going to happen. But the Mountain Dew being in the middle of the ring, the whole Rey Mysterio thing at the NASCAR, that I agree. It was cringy, didn't like it. And so if they do go about it in a different way, where you don't really like feel like it's just like, hey, here it is.
Yeah, no. Like there's an ability.
Then I don't think it affects
like,
it
let's
when
just
you put it that way.
Let's say they just titled the whole Royal Rumble the Mountain Dew Pitch Black Royal Rumble, right? Which would have been cool. It would have been cool to do the entire women's Royal Rumble under those neon lights. We commented when we were there. Everybody for some reason had on like the most neon outfits in the world, like they were expecting to be under the black light for some reason. It would have made sense to theme the entire Royal Rumble match that doesn't have story elements, the Mountain Dew Pitch Black Royal Rumble, and do it under neon lights would have been pretty cool. Or like every 5 minutes the lights go off and it goes, something like that works. Or and it's intriguing.
When the new person came in, doom,
the lights go off.
It's a black light.
That's cool too. That's a good idea. I just don't think when you take somebody who you've spent since like fucking November of last year, we've spent building up this mystique around Bray Wyatt, right? He's this mystical Uncle Howdy. We have all this shit. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, by the way, this guy who's been real creepy and stuff, he's doing a match for Mountain Dew. And during this match, we're going to have like neon kendo sticks. We're going to have Orbeez that come out from underneath the announce. Why was there like 7,000 neon green Orbeez under the announce table?
I have no idea.
Like just with no, we're just like these kind of things. Like I get the visual was extremely cool in that match, especially being there. I will say being there in person, it was a neat gimmick, but it didn't make sense at that point in time for that match. It did nothing. LA Knight did such a good job building towards that match and keeping his credibility. And then all of a sudden he's part of a Mountain Dew. There was just no explanation. And there wasn't even an attempt to explain to like the fans of why Mountain Dew Pitch Black was a part of the match.
Yeah.
It was just, we're doing this. Here's a shameless plug for Mountain Dew.
But let's also talk about the fact that, like, we cannot fucking find Mountain Dew Pitch Black anywhere.
And yeah, I know we can't in our city. I don't even know. Like, great promotion. You had the Royal Rumble in San Antonio, Texas. You had the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match in San Antonio, Texas.
Why wouldn't you have given away free Mountain Dew? It feels like it should be Black there.
Well, that's true too. But it feels like it should be in every store in the city where you had the match. But you literally almost can't find it here.
No,
it doesn't make sense. We've tried to find it for our daughters who wanted to try it, but what? Yeah, I mean, so it can work though. Like you can integrate like product placement and things like that into wrestling. I think they need to be used comically in places where comedy makes sense. I know Dominic Mysterio is kind of leaning in the comedy elements of wrestling right now, but I don't think that the story between him and Rey Mysterio should become a joke, because I just don't think that's going to work. Mm-hmm. Whereas like, you could have taken somebody who's not like, it seems to me like Braun Strowman and Ricochet would be great for like a NASCAR segment, right? Because or even Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, right? Guys who have enough credibility and it doesn't really affect the story that they're involved in. Whereas like, you don't see Gunther doing like the McDonald's snack break.
No.
Right? Because Gunther's whole kind of shtick is that like, this is all about wrestling and I'm not about the stupid gimmicks surrounding wrestling. Mm-hmm. And so you do, like, Seth Rollins even feels like he could pull off product placement, or the Alpha Academy seem
literally the people who they have in the commercials.
And so you do the weird cutaway on NASCAR to that thing and Rey Mysterio, and it just, to me, like, it diminishes a little bit of what you're trying to do moving forward as far as like telling that story heading into WrestleMania. I just think it scares me a little bit, because I think it's okay. I don't have a problem. I'm like you, stamp a logo in the middle of the ring. Now, I mean, let's go back though. This isn't the first time they've teased this kind of shit. Do you remember when Austin Theory came out and he just had fucking Beyblades behind him?
Yes, that was crazy.
With no explanation once again, right? It's not like his character was wearing Beyblade's attire. It's not like he had addressed Beyblades in some kind of form or fashion. It was just like, it feels to me like WWE is experimenting, and I get with revenue systems, but like, let's integrate these things into wrestling and make them make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have had like a Beyblades match in the middle of the ring. What if they had some giant Beyblades?
That would have been hilarious.
That kind of thing works, but you just to like stamp things in weird places. I'm okay. Backstage segments, have a Mountain Dew poster behind people, right? Have them drinking Pepsi or whatever the product is that you're trying to promote. But I don't like the idea of theming an entire match around a weird gimmick like that, unless the person who's in that match is almost aware of what's like. It would have been cool, I'm telling you.
So remember when they had the pub match or whatever? Mm-hmm. You could have had it sponsored by a beer company. Right,
Guinness. This is the Guinness Donnybrook match or whatever.
Exactly. That's the first thing that fucking popped in my head.
Nailed it. That's exactly right. That's where product placement makes sense. And even like putting Liv Morgan into the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match, and her knowing like, I'm doing this because I want to do something that's never been done before and it's going to be really cool. Mm-hmm. Here's what to expect. That would have been super cool.
Or like Liv Morgan, one time she said that her tongue was blue because she had like a blue lollipop. You could have her be the blue raspberry blow pop girl.
Whatever. Yeah. But I'm agreed 100%. Yep. That is the best way.
We should be the marketing director.
Probably. But if they continue to do this thing where they interject it, especially like, I don't understand. You took the two supernatural groups. You know, the Judgment Day, they're not really supernatural anymore, but they have a little bit of like a biker mystique, like, and you're just, once again, you're turning them into more and more and more of like goofballs hanging out at the NASCAR track. That type of shit doesn't really make sense to me. All right, topic number 3, Lauren.
Okay.
This was a thought that I had the other day. Back when I feel like back when I used to watch wrestling, like 1999, 2000, early 2000s, it always felt like wrestling was less predictable. I always felt like and maybe that was just because I was younger and I wasn't able to follow kind of the patterns, but it always felt like at any time someone else could be champion. And right now in professional wrestling, I feel like there's kind of a hierarchy. You start to see the light of like who's next in line to become the world champion. question I wanted to ask to you. You're put in charge of booking, right? They call you up, level up, Lauren. We need you to come down here. Whoever's booking, they're gone. They ran away. We need you to book for the next 6 months, and we need something wild to happen. If you could just right now strap a rocket on 1 or 2 or 3 wrestlers and make them a world champion or give them a boost, what would you do out of the blue? What wrestler are you strapping the rocket to?
Oh, so my initial reaction was to make Sami Zayn the champion, right? Okay. But then I thought, why do I like Sami Zayn, right? I like him because I always feel like he's having to work towards something and he's always doing something. And it kind of reminds me of like Bianca Belair, right? My whole love and like for them was them working towards it. And what if once he gets it, he becomes stagnant?
So that was a question I was just about to ask you, because this is a fear I have with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn's great in this build up to Elimination Chamber into WrestleMania, and it's been kind of a fun ride, and everybody, you hear kind of the internet murmur that like he should beat Roman Reigns and they should put the belt on him. The question I was going to ask you is, how do you keep that momentum going forward with someone like Sami Zayn once he's the champion? Once he's no longer the underdog, you're strapping the rocket to him. How do you book him for, let's just say it's Backlash again. Let's say it's Extreme Rules. Let's say it's SummerSlam. What are you doing to keep him relevant?
I mean, I honestly don't know. If they knew, then they would have already done it with Bianca. It's why she kind of lost her like luster to me, right? So then my second one went into, which somebody for who me, I know that a lot of people love him, right, is Kevin Owens. I always feel like Kevin Owens kind of gets the short end of the stick. Like he's right there, but then he doesn't go all the way.
Yeah, I think the belief is there's something that Vince McMahon doesn't like about Kevin Owens. Has to be, right? Because I'm with you. That's not my choice, but I'm with you on like, it feels like Kevin Owens is past due to, so this is, and we throw these comparisons around all the time, but I think it feels like to me, Kevin Owens is the closest thing as far as like the crowd reaction to Stone Cold that we've had in a long time. He's just kind of reckless. He screams, like he's got the same energy. And so it feels to me like he's overdue for a title run. He's overdue for that big, and I think that's coming. I do. I think with Triple H, that's coming. I think that, unfortunately, this is the hierarchy I'm talking about, right? We're under the assumption that it's Roman Reigns right now, and then the next guy up is Cody Rhodes. And that's why we said, like me and you said, we liked the Royal Rumble. We enjoyed the Royal Rumble. There's a lot of people who I saw that watched it on TV and that I talked to that said it was way too predictable. Well, when you're in the stands, I can tell you, you don't give a shit.
I mean, honestly, I didn't watch half of the wrestling because like as soon as we got up, then it was time to sit down.
It was whoever was coming out next.
Like, okay, let's go. Let's watch him walk down the aisle. That was the fun part.
Yeah, it's a spectacle. I agree. I don't remember much of what happened in the ring. So anybody who says that it was predictable, it probably was. And Cody Rhodes winning was predictable. But that's what I'm talking about, the kind of next man up mentality that we kind of know the hierarchy. And I say this is what I talk about in AEW all the time as well, right? AEW, you can always kind of see the hierarchy playing out. It's why I'm confident when I tell people that Darby Allin is not going to be world champion in the next 3 years, because I see the hierarchy, right? Right now it's MJF and he's going to hold it for a while. And then it's going to go back to either Moxley or Jericho or Hangman, one of those guys who are in line for the title. And then in the waiting, you have guys like Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson who are going to need a run with it at some point. So you can see the hierarchy. Whereas it would probably be more exciting if Darby Allin just out of the fucking blue won the world championship.
Yeah.
And same with WWE. So you're saying Kevin Owens, you're saying Sami Zayn. Is that it? Was that your list?
So Kevin Owens is the guy that I would strap the rocket to, because I feel like, number one, he's kind of a little bit of an asshole sometimes, but like a likable asshole, because he's kind of just like a truth teller, and I like it.
I agree. I'm with you. I have no disagreements. I think to me, it doesn't take much of a rocket. When I kind of thought of this.
Why hasn't anybody given him a rocket before? That's
he's been champion before.
Well, see, He's been champion. I haven't
before.
seen him as champion, so I'd like to see him there again.
Yeah, but he's been champion before, and I think there had to be something with Vince McMahon not liking his weight or something like that, which I think is so fucking stupid. because sometimes being heavy and then being like as physically gifted as he is makes you more impressive. Yeah, I mean, he moves around the ring impressively. All right, so my choices.
Okay.
If I was strapping a rock, I'm going a little farther down the roster. I'm not. I think that it would be exciting to have Tommaso Ciampa return randomly and win a world title. And just let's strap the rocket to Tommaso Ciampa and let's just throw him in there and see what he can do. I think there's a lot to like about him. I think he has a good look. He's a little bit small. I get it. But wrestlers are small these days. I'm critical of small wrestlers, but that's just what's happening. I can't control the size of people and what the crowd likes. So no, I mean, I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm just saying that, like, I think really gone are the days of my mentality of like, you have to be a gladiator to be a wrestler. Because if that was the truth, right? Braun Strowman, Drew McIntyre, Gunther, those guys should all be world champion and the little guys should never have a chance. But I think that Tommaso Ciampa makes sense given an opportunity like that. I thought something cool would have been a faction with Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Dexter Lumis, Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, all of the kind of old NXT black and gold.
Oh yeah, that would have been cool.
Coming back together and Tommaso leading that group and becoming champion would be fun. But most importantly, the person I think that you could strap a rocket to right now and he would probably take the ball and run with it and become a major star is LA Knight.
I knew you were going to say that.
But I just, what's missing? Like, talk to me about what is missing when you talk about the elements of a superstar. You talk about him, right? What is not in his repertoire? He can talk on a fucking microphone as good or better.
He's got the body. He's got the look.
He's got the look. I don't know how old he is. He does look old, but I don't know how old. I
don't like to judge people's age. I never know how old people are anymore.
I'm very bad about in wrestling. It's not. I come from the basketball background where, like, once you're in your 30s, you're considered over the hill. In wrestling, a lot of people don't hit their peak until they're 40.
But
so I overreact to that.
Old, like, aren't old. There's that one NXT girl that I thought was like in her late 30s, almost 40s, and she's not.
Yeah, I
won't
agree.
Name her names,
let's look at. You can name names.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be that. I'm not gonna do that.
Let's see. He's 40.
40,
so he's
okay.
40 years old.
But look at how old all the other wrestlers are. He's like right there with them, so it's okay.
But to me, that's even more of a reason to strap the rocket on his back at 40 years old and see what he can do. But I'm talking about when you break down LA Knight and you look at him from like beginning. I don't remember the exact list, but I had a list of things that I said made a likable wrestler. And it was size. Mm-hmm. He's decently sized. He's at least muscular enough to pass the size test.
Gimmick was one of them.
Gimmick. He's a walking gimmick. Like, he is the Rock light. He is kind of a stone cold. Everything you can tell, he's the embodiment of like growing up watching wrestling. He took all of that to heart and created a character. Mm-hmm. He if this makes sense, he's kind of the Pat McAfee in the ring.
No, I get it. You're constantly entertained.
Did you know? Side note, did you know that he did all of the entrances and motion capturing for like WWE 2K pre like 22?
No.
So every wrestler's entrance that you see in the game, I believe, I don't know if he did the women. That'd be an interesting question to find out. But I know all the men, he did the Rock's entrance. He did like Stone Cold's entrance. He did R-Truth.
So they didn't actually do them themselves?
No. He went in and did the motion capture for every wrestler.
Crazy. That's awesome.
But that just shows you.
It would be interesting if he did the women's though too.
I don't think he did. I'm gonna guess he did.
It would be fun.
It would be hilarious if he did.
But I mean, so certain people have a certain finesse where they can just sort of move, and he definitely embodies that. And you know, you said that people don't like him, but like
I don't know who doesn't like him. I mean, I don't know that I'd say.
Well, you told me one time like people said that he tries to like the Rock or something.
So the IWC has a little bit of like, there's like an ongoing thing where they say he's too like, he's mimicking the Rock or he's mimicking Stone Cold, but I don't see that as bad because, and first off, I see a little bit of the Rock with like a vest and, you know, kind of the way he holds.
I didn't have experience of those wrestlers. So to me, he is a brand new wrestler. It's exciting. It's fun. It's entertaining.
And that's why that always works, right? Because it's always the people who are holding on to something old that don't want to see the refresh of it. But I like, as far as size goes, he's fine. As far as microphone skills goes, he's beyond fine. When I see him in the ring, I don't see a problem with him. I don't know what it was. So there had to be something when he came from NXT to WWE. Once again, Vince McMahon, the great holy man of judging talent, thought he needs to be a manager. And it's like, why take the guy with all that charisma that's very likable? Why make him a manager of the Maximum Male Models? Which I will say, he did a good job.
Yeah, I liked him. We look forward to it.
It was enjoyable. It was stupid as fuck, but it was enjoyable. And when he flipped back, I almost think it was a good way for him to flip back into the LA Knight character and get people introduced, because if you didn't watch NXT, you don't know who LA Knight is. And so it was this easier transition into who this guy is.
Because I didn't know who LA Knight was. And the Maximum Male Models thing got me interested. And so there are sometimes that they'll push new talent on us and I'm like, who is that? And you're like, oh, they were in NXT, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I'm like, okay.
Now I hope he's done with Bray Wyatt. I hope coming out of Royal Rumble, that was it, because I feel like that the blow off to that was extremely stupid, and it's time to get him out and get him in something better than being a puppet for Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt can use anybody. I thought the little tease they did on SmackDown was weird, coming out of like a Royal Rumble that needed answers, because you had all of the fucking puppets that were above Uncle Howdy and Uncle Howdy jumping off onto LA Knight. We got no update on, like, LA Knight was essentially set on fire in some box on top of the ring. And so hopefully they do a better job. But I'm hoping that, like, LA Knight gets 2 weeks off to kind of cool down, and then he shows up and he's involved in something else that isn't Bray Wyatt related. Because I do think, like, that's the guy, though. I think that is, in all of WWE, the guy you could strap a rocket to right now. And you talk about, like, not missing a beat. That's my guy.
All right.
All right, Lauren, topic number 4. This is a question that was sent in. It says, hey, Nerdy D and Lauren, I'm a big fan of the podcast. I'm curious to know what you guys think about the upcoming match at Elimination Chamber between Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. Do you think Sami Zayn has any shot at winning the world title in Canada? You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You can go first.
No, I don't think he has any chance. I think that it's, once again, this is where WWE fucks up by promoting WrestleMania before we get done with the event we're currently building towards. All of the posters, I guarantee you, that are already up in California promoting WrestleMania ticket sales have a giant picture of Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes on them saying, this is your main event. That leads you to know that there's 0% chance that Sami Zayn can win that match. Does that make it less entertaining? I don't think so. Well, I think it does a little bit. I think the interesting part is, if we believe that they're going to parlay this into Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos, I guess you can look forward to Elimination Chamber for the element of how they get there. But this is the part of wrestling that, like, irks me a little bit, is the, like, and it does make me a little bit like of an IWC member in a sense, where I get, you know, just irritated by the thought of, like, don't show me the WrestleMania main event. Tease it, right? Yeah. Tease it and say it's Cody Rhodes versus whoever wins this match.
Yeah.
And if you do that, then we can build some, a little bit of suspense. And like, there are people who want Sami Zayn to win that match. The whole fucking country of Canada is going to lose their shit in the same way that when they went to England and Drew McIntyre was against Roman Reigns, the crowd was, I mean, it was one-sided. The crowd was there to see Drew McIntyre win, which he didn't. So WWE has a history of letting the crowd go home disappointed. But I think it's going to be a weird night at Elimination Chamber, because I do think that you are going to have an extreme, like, so the crowd already started to turn on Roman. Yes. Not started. The crowd turned on Roman at the Royal Rumble. This past Friday on SmackDown, Roman's embraced it. He doesn't give a shit. He likes playing the bad guy. He turned the crowd even more, and he kind of turned the knife a little bit. And he's got to know, and everybody's got to know, that when you get into Canada, that is going to be the most hostile building that the Bloodline have ever been in. And it's going to be insane. And so how do you that match it's going to be a fun watch. I just think that there's a part, it takes a little bit of the fun out of it, in the fact that we know who's going to win. And there's 0% chance.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, that didn't even, like, cross my mind. But, like, my initial reaction was just, like, the crowd would go crazy if he won. But I didn't think that there was any chance whatsoever because I didn't see anything that was possible after that.
But doesn't it almost feel like a missed opportunity? Like, doesn't it feel like if Sami Zayn was to win at Elimination Chamber, that the wrestling universe, Twitter, all of that would just completely lose their shit. They wouldn't know what to do. How about the next night you have Roman come right back and win the title?
I mean, they could do that, right?
Having it just feels to me like the 48 hours you could get. First off, I think once again, another interesting thing is they should have broken this up and made this for one of not both titles.
Yeah.
They should have had Sami somehow work his way into with Paul Heyman and say, all right, you get an opportunity at one title. You're not worthy of two. You can have an opportunity at one. Have Sami win one of those titles, preferably probably the WWE title, because that's not the one that has the long lineage with Roman Reigns. So it doesn't really affect any of the records that he has going on. So you have Sami win that belt in Canada. The fucking building explodes. Confetti rains down. The crowd is going nuts. Sami Zayn is a hero for 48 hours. From I don't know if Elimination Chamber is Saturday. I'm assuming it's Saturday. Yeah. From Saturday till Monday night, the world is on fire. Then on Monday, maybe not Monday night, maybe let it have a week to breathe.
A SmackDown? Let
him come on Raw. Let Sami come on Raw holding the title. Everybody's cheering. Everybody from Raw is excited because the title's back. Then on Friday Night SmackDown, you have Roman challenge, get a title rematch, however you want to work it, and have him challenge Sami Zayn and take Sami Zayn down, regaining the belt. It works, right? Because then you go back in, you're right on schedule for WrestleMania. You still have Roman. You still have Cody Rhodes going for the Universal or whatever title.
Man. I'm down. Let's do it.
Some of these things make sense that I don't understand. This is where like the weird records that they're chasing get in the fucking way, because what it is they're so afraid to have Roman Reigns lose a match because of what it does to his records and what it does moving forward. But it just feels to me like if Sami was to upset Roman, the benefit of the reaction, like the internet, like the Twitter would go, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
You would get all the AEW fans, all the New Japan Pro fans. You'd have people who don't even know. They'd be like, why is this guy Sami Zayn trending so heavily? And it's because you did the unthinkable. But more than likely, I mean, I'd say more than likely, it's almost for sure Sami's going to lose that match, which then is going to lead to Sami and KO somehow. But it just feels like it knocks it down. If Sami won the match, lost the belt afterwards, and like his consolation is that he gets to go through the Usos with a chance later on to go back for the World Heavyweight title, that would make more sense. But I mean, to answer the question, there's 0% chance that Sami Zayn wins the belt, and it's unfortunate, and I think it's disappointing. It's the same, like we had the Kofi Mania moment where Kofi won the world title and the fucking WWE universe went absolutely nuts. We had, you remember, this is when I first took you to wrestling, was the Daniel Bryan thing,
yes,
where he forced his way into WrestleMania's main event because the crowd just wasn't, like, at that point the crowd settled in and said, we are not gonna not let Daniel Bryan get in the main event of WrestleMania. They may act like that was the plan all along, but I remember in the moment they were trying to push, I believe, Randy Orton and Dave Batista.
Was it Roman Reigns?
No, it was Randy Orton and Dave Batista. Roman was not on that level yet.
Oh.
This is WrestleMania 30.
It was
X
after
at New Orleans.
Yes.
Brock Lesnar beat The Undertaker.
Oh, wait, no. I remember what we're talking about. The first WrestleMania.
Way back. And if you remember the first match of the night.
Yes.
Daniel Bryan had to beat Triple H, I think, or somebody to just win an opportunity to be in the last match of the night, where then I think it was Randy Orton and Batista, and he beat them and the fucking building went nuts. Those are the moments. I don't love pay-per-views, premium live events ending with the crowd upset.
No, I agree.
On a regular basis. I think that you have an opportunity like Chicago in 2011 Money in the Bank with CM Punk beating John Cena and walking out of the building with the championship, running through the crowd. You have that. All the makings are there for that moment in Canada.
Oh yeah.
Can you pull the trigger? Oh man, I feel like
ooh, it
I
would
just
be
feel
so
like
awesome. Like if he won, like
I feel like the opportunity is there to do something amazing. I just feel like they're gonna.
Because there was like literally one point when they were gonna kick Sami Zayn out of the bloodline that I like almost
you get
cried.
emotional, right?
Cried.
There was like a lump in my throat at one point.
Yeah, we were sitting there both like, what? Yeah, there was a little bit of a tear.
I think when Sami turned on Roman, it was almost a relief to me because I think empowering Sami made it a little less like of a heartbreak than if like Roman turned on Sami and he was just completely like, caught off guard.
Yeah.
Still love it. Think it's the best story in wrestling in the last 10, 15 years.
Yes, sir.
But I just think that like, I am afraid that the idea of like the posters are already up for Cody and Roman, like it would be fun. It would just be fun for if 1 week that like they had to change all the graphics and it was Cody Rhodes versus Sami Zayn.
That'd be a smart fucking marketing.
Yes. And then it goes back and they change all the graphics back. I think that would be fun. All right. Bonus topic is 10 questions, Lauren.
Okay.
I'm supposed to have my belt right now. If you could reach back there and grab it for me, please.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
You're not gonna reach back and grab my belt?
No.
That's messed up. I am the current champion.
Because I'm not exactly excited about this anymore because you took away all my questions.
10 questions. The rules are as stands. There are no non-wrestling questions allowed. So all questions must be themed in some form or fashion towards professional wrestling. You have
I hate you.
10 questions. Go ahead and start the questions when you are ready.
Is this person on SmackDown?
No, that's one.
Okay. So they're on Raw. Is this person part of a group?
What do you consider a group? How many people need to be qualified to be a group?
I mean, if they're associated with somebody. So like if it was...
Is a tag team a group?
A tag team is a group, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was way too big of a hint.
Okay. Is this person a collegiate wrestler? Have they been a collegiate wrestler?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Does this person...
Holy cow, hold on.
What?
I mean, that was a solid question.
Okay. Does this person do the worm as part of their... Okay. Is this person's gimmick at one time portraying them as like a very smart person?
Yes.
Chad Gable.
Holy shit.
Yes!
Holy shit.
Yes, yes, yes.
How did you get there so fast?
That's my power. That's my ADD power.
I mean, I thought for sure that one was...
No, I was really mad when we had to do this segment. I'm not going to lie.
That is the record. You went that in 5... You went... wait, Monday Night Raw, tag team, to basically thinking it was Otis, to then narrow... You got that in 5.
I did. Yes.
This has been another episode of the Casual Wrestling Podcast. Tune in every week to see us discuss 4 of the biggest topics in pro wrestling. As always, I am the Notorious Nerdy D. That is Level Up Lauren, and ring the final bell.
Ding, 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 ding.
Step in the ring, if you ready, let's go. Ay, Casual Wrestling Community Show. You already know, talking WWE. Keep it rolling and hosted by Notorious Nerdy D. Dope show that you gon' find. Tune in cause it's online. Hit 'em with a figure 4 leg lock, power driver or clothesline. We bringing that